Potts, and this is the first in an audio series about the truth about change. In this segment, we'll discuss the 5 steps to leading change. I've just written a great book called The Truth About Change. The book is a guide for leaders to successfully lead strategic initiatives. I want to share insights that my clients have found extremely helpful when we want to achieve sustainable results. Over the last 3 decades, I've been an operating executive and CEO, as well as a consultant, advisor, and coach to leaders of some very prominent companies. I've had the chance to work with both large mega Fortune 100 companies, as well as startups and mid-sized companies. What I have found to be true is there isn't a leader on this planet that isn't trying to make some positive change to improve their business, their organization, and even the world. The challenge is new results will require changes. Change takes people out of their comfort zone. Sometimes people hear about a new idea and they resist the change. I have this passion to help leaders navigate and brilliantly lead business changes to make them non-events. This audio is the first in the series where I will share insights I have used for decades that I know work. I want to bring some of these concepts and stories to life so you can begin leading more effectively and efficiently. There's a ton more information in my book, The Truth About Change, that's available on Amazon as well as on my website at www.hapgrp.com. In this first audio series, I'm going to share the 5 steps to leading change. It's a framework that my clients have found effective in thinking, strategizing, planning, and executing change initiatives. What I like about this framework is that you, the leader, can tailor it to meet your business situation. There's one thing all leaders have in common. Every company is trying to achieve some objective to bring the best products and services to market. Every leader is trying to figure out how they can enhance performance, grow their business, improve how work gets done, and do it as efficiently and as effectively as possible. The truth is, work is done by people. And most people, they want to see the change, but when it comes down to making the change, well, most people don't want to be changed. Leaders are faced with many challenges. Usually in time of change, the business is not meeting the intended targets. There are many other things going on that contribute to the problem. There are competitive pressures, and the marketplace is always looking for the latest and greatest. Leaders are under this tremendous pressure to deliver results, and now. While the people are key to leading those changes, as an organization, a department, a function, and individuals, they pose very different and often confusing challenges for a leader. People react differently to the change. There's the physical, the mental, emotional aspects of accepting and moving to action, and it can really be very difficult for a leader to navigate these challenges. And finally, let's face it, if the business strategies and solutions fail, well, this can really hinder a leader's career and job. So the fear of failure, the agony of defeat, is not something that any leader wants to experience, and I certainly don't want you to experience that. However, playing it safe is not an option. We as leaders need to find a way to quickly size up the situation and take an idea to a solution to achieve the result. So how do leaders engage the hands, the heart, the heads, and the mind? How do leaders take the risk out of an implementation? This takes an understanding of the enterprise, the group, and individual perspectives. And I want to discuss how people are part of this equation and can often be overlooked and shortchanged. So much time and effort is spent as I watch leaders on the solution, the strategy, the plan, the processes, that the leader and the organization frankly run out of time and then quickly announce the change and expect everyone to get it the first time, to fall in line and begin working in the new way. Well, maybe you've been lucky to make it work this way. However, chances are, if you're listening to this audio, you realize it isn't enough to have a brilliant idea. That idea needs to be formulated from a strategy to a plan, and that plan then needs to be executed brilliantly by the people in your organization. However, the missing link from idea to strategy to result, well, that's the people. So over decades of my work, I have found that there are 5 key steps to consider as you lead change. They are agreement and alignment, acceptance, action, accountability, and acceleration. So let's look at each one of these. First, agreement and alignment. Just because a leader tells a group about a new strategy doesn't mean that the people will fall in line and start working in the new way. Have you ever been in a meeting where before you take a break, the group came to a decision, but in the hallway, the discussions, it became really clear that everyone was interpreting that decision differently. Gaining agreement around a shared vision and approach is more than putting it on a piece of paper. People need to understand what is changing and why it's important to make these changes. People will see the decision from different perspectives. As a leader and a leadership team, you won't want to assume these decisions, but you need to test them. Then there's alignment, and I call it out very differently than agreement. A group will work to agree on a strategy to deploy and a set of work processes, but how they go about implementing the changes can cause a whole lot of problems cross-organizationally if they don't attend to the alignment. So agreement and alignment are around the what and the why, as well as the how. And it's very critical to the success of a change. Second is acceptance. The one thing for people to understand and be aware of the change, it's entirely different to accept and be willing to adopt and be part of that change. We've all seen or experienced people who have resisted a change or reacted to being asked to change. We can forget as leaders that the weeks and months ago when we were wrestling with that decision, and it's really unrealistic to expect that in one town hall, an email announcement, a communication from the boss will move people to immediate action. Change elicits fear and doubt and uncertainty. Change can trigger the physical, mental, and emotional, and even test our own belief systems. There is the normal fears and objections and reactions and concerns that people need to process when they hear something's going to be different. Leaders play a tremendous role in helping people move from that awareness to understanding to acceptance to finally adopting the change. It takes listening to help move many people from idea to action to results. Knowing how to engage people in the messages and how to help them move towards the desired result is a key piece of work of leadership. When we communicate in a way that people can absorb what's going on and how it impacts them, people are more willing to step into that new third step, which is adopting and taking that action. So I may be stating the obvious, but we do struggle with this as leaders. Change doesn't happen without action. If we want new and different results, then the actions or behaviors you and your people are performing today must change. Sometimes these are very different actions, and sometimes they can be very subtle nuances that can make a huge difference. We have all experienced learning a new task. It can feel awkward and uncomfortable to adopt new ways of working. In deploying a new strategy or implementing a new process can mean hundreds of new actions. As leaders, we can take this for granted and wonder why it's just taking so long. So to accelerate the change, we need to do a couple of things. First, identify the critical path of new behaviors that are required for the organization to work in concert with one another. Of the hundreds of changes, there are probably just a handful that are very critical to the entire strategy. We need to name them. And then as leaders, we need to define our role, our own actions that will help support, encourage, and reinforce these new behaviors of being adopted by others. So remember, new behaviors are uncomfortable. So have some patience with yourself and others. Listen to the challenges people are facing and find ways to help them move to action. When leaders are part of this process, there's a much smoother transition from the old way to the new ways of doing things. And if you're keen on achieving results, as I know you are, then recognize that your actions will help or your actions could hinder that progress. Which moves me to the fourth point, accountability. In a word, I hear this often from leadership and their actions, but their actions and intent don't match. When we accept accountability for the results of the change, you chart a direction and model new behaviors. Too often leaders assume their work is complete when the solution is identified and they hand it off to the project team and they let them implement the solution. Implementation is the essence of ensuring the new actions are actually worked, owned, and deployed to positive outcomes. A leader is accountable for educating others. As a leader, we're accountable for inspiring others to move in that compelling vision. There are usually a handful, again, as I've mentioned, of a few behaviors that are really critical to that operation. Our job is to help people want to be part of the change versus feeling that they have to comply. Because when people want to change, they can move quickly to the new solution and we see the new outcomes. Which leads me to the fifth and final A, which is acceleration. And I don't know any company that doesn't want results and fast. And so I suggest shifting the focus from the end result and focusing on the intermediate actions and whether those actions are actually moving the organization in the right direction. And as I've been sharing, to get results means to work with others. It requires you and others to change and adapt how you're working today and be willing to work through those obstacles. The way to accelerate results is to be an active change leader. It can be tempting to back off and say you're letting others implement the tactical solution. Don't do this. Instead, stay visible and active in shaping the changes. Remove obstacles and address issues early and often. Help others when they try a new action and they feel like it's not working. Provide your support, ask really good questions, listen, and of course, provide positive feedback. You know, many leaders say to me, it's really hard to find something that is working during a time of change. I get it, but I tell them that you need to find something that's working to move towards that end result. So instead of providing feedback and criticism, provide positive feedback for people attempting and trying the new way. And so don't wait till the results occur because you may not see them occur. So before you jump into this laundry list of what isn't working, start with 2 or 3 things that actually are working and then pick the 1 or 2 things that you need to address to enhance the solution. So today we went over the 5 steps to leading change, which are agreement, alignment, acceptance, action, accountability, and acceleration. In the next segment, which I don't want you to miss, I will go in much more detail about you and your leadership team can create the discussions to gain agreement and alignment. We'll go a little bit deeper in that one aspect. So be sure to check into the next audio. In the meantime, I have resources on my website at www.hapgrp.com. And be sure to pick up my book, The Truth About Change. It's on Amazon. It's a leader's guide to successfully executing change initiatives. I am so excited to talk to you next time. And until then, please bring your best self to leading change. I'm Hillary Potts. Bye for now. This audio was produced by Raskin Resources Productions and recorded by Tony Jones.